Good morning, 8th grade. Today we're going to spend a little bit of time reviewing what we talked about yesterday and getting into the gerunds. Yesterday we spoke concerning the use of participles in the sentence. A participle serves as the same function as an adjective. Remember, the only time that a participle is not an adjective is if it contains a helping verb that comes before it. The way we diagram a participle is it goes on an L-shaped line similar to that of a prepositional phrase underneath the noun, such as the subject, that it modifies. In the sentence, the aging woman waited for the bus, we notice that aging modifies the woman. Again, we have certain patterns that are found in the identification of participles that serve as adjectives. Again, when the participle comes before the noun, as we have here, we would put it underneath that noun. It can also be, as we're going to see in some of our review sentences, that it could be at the beginning of a sentence set apart by a comma, or like in a positive, it could come in between the subject and the verb set apart by a pair of commas. In the next sample sentence that we looked at yesterday, once again we notice the pattern where the participle yelling comes before the subject noun children, and it gets diagrammed on the L-shaped line which goes underneath. The reminder concerning the use of the prepositional phrase and the same kind of line, excepting that we put the preposition on this line, the object of the preposition on the horizontal line, and then any adjectives like the article the underneath the object of the preposition. Yesterday, we were taking a look at practicing diagramming participles on this page, and we were identifying some of those patterns. In addition to sentence number 1 and sentence number 5, we have the pattern as is found in number 2, where it comes at the beginning of a sentence set apart by a comma. It modifies the subject noun Dan. Washing dishes. Washing dishes. And we see here that there is an object washing what? Dishes. And the dishes. As we mentioned, there is also another pattern where it's in between the subject, Ashley, and the verb, dropped. And Ashley dropped mitten, her mitten, and then waiting for the bus. This is the participle waiting. And then there is a prepositional phrase as part of the participle phrase, waiting for the bus. As we review these sentences, we want to be remembering what is the noun that it modifies, and then place it in the proper spot underneath the sentence line. Today, we look at sentence 4, 7, and 8. These are 3 sentences that we did not diagram yesterday. So let's place these diagrams on our papers so that we have them for future reference. Again, I'm suggesting that you can label the subject, the verb, and the direct object, and then you'll know exactly where to put it. Subject, verb, direct object, and then we have adjective article the, another the, and then what kind of dolphin? It's a leaping dolphin, and this shows that this is a participle. Again, the L-shaped line and writing it in an arc on top of that line. In sentence number 7, again, subject, verb, direct object. Jamal, verb, loaded, direct object, machine. What kind? The, and then the participle, verb plus ing, washing machine. Again, L-shaped line, writing it in an arc fashion. Number 8, This is the pattern that we used up in sentence number 2. In sentence number 2, it said washing the dishes, modifying the subject Dan, and in this sentence, waving goodbye modifies Kenneth. Subject, verb, and prepositional phrase. There is no object. Kenneth stepped on the plane. Waving goodbye. Again, this has an object like sentence number 2, washing dishes, waving goodbye, modifying Kenneth. Participle, object of the participle. Couple of takeaways. Number 1, we want to be remembering that these participle adjectives need to modify nouns. Number 2, we want to be remembering the patterns. These 3 patterns that are used to identify where a participle is located inside of the sentence. And labeling the sentence parts is valuable. Subject, verb, prepositional phrase. Today, Tuesday, we continue our verbal diagrams by taking a look at the second part of the front page where it describes diagramming gerunds. We remember that gerunds serve as nouns. These nouns can be the subject of the sentence. These nouns can be the direct object of the sentence. They also could be the object of the preposition, as we're going to see in one of our sample sentences. Let's take a look at them. Swimming is a fun exercise. I identify the subject of the sentence as being swimming. I notice I have a linking verb, and then I have a predicate noun. We remember that if we have a predicate noun, we have a slanted line. The word fun in this sample is an adjective. The tree, and then the ladder type of line. Again, some students have a different little configuration. The main part of this, though, is this tree. This will identify it as being a gerund. The newspaper headline was written about skiing. Headline, helping verb, verb, prepositional phrase. Adjective, adjective. Now, I'll diagram those things on the sentence line first. My subject is headline. My helping verb and the verb was written. The headline, newspaper headline. My preposition, about. But I am noticing in this sentence that my gerund, skiing, happens to be the object of the preposition. I'll place it right where the object of the preposition goes. About what? Skiing. These gerunds can go anywhere in the sentence where there is a noun. On the top of the back page, subject, team. Verb, enjoys. Direct object. This is going to be my gerund. and the phrase that is going to go with it. So we'll take the subject first, team, the verb enjoys. Notice I put in my line just as I would for any other direct object. I make my tree. My gerund is playing. In this sentence, because my gerund has accompanying words, which we call the gerund phrase, I'm going to put playing what? Basketball. I'm not playing practice. I'm playing basketball. What kind of basketball? I'm practicing, and this is a modifier, every practice. Subject, verb, direct object, and then the remainder of the gerund phrase. We have some additional sentences we would like to look at today, Tuesday, on the next page, which is entitled Diagramming Gerunds Practice Activity. You'll notice the violin in the upper right-hand corner. Let's start by looking at number 6, which has already been completed for us. I'm suggesting to take a look at the gerund, subject, the verb, and the direct object. How do I know when this phrase ends? It goes until the next part of speech or the end of the sentence. We noticed on the top of the last page, because it was at the end, it went to the end of the sentence. This one goes until I get to the next part of speech, which happens to be the verb. The tree identifies it as a gerund. Eating. Eating what? Vegetables. We notice that we use the same kind of line that we would use for a direct object for the object of the gerund. Eating what? Vegetables. The verb, the direct object, and the adjective. As we take a look at these sentences, I think it's really going to be helpful that you label these sentence parts. Sentence number 1. Shala, Kevin like golfing. The only thing that you want to be remembering now is that you're going to have a line which comes off of the sentence line, and you'll probably want to be making your sentence line closer here to the bottom of the square so that you have room for your gerund tree. So my sentence line is going to be down below here. I notice in this sentence that I have a compound. As I was talking to a few of you last week, you were saying you were having a hard time with these, and I said, well, extend your sentence line, and then maybe you can make it right off of there. Doesn't matter that that little piece is in the middle. So I'm going to go Shala and Kevin like, and then I need my tree. Golfing. Compound subjects, verb like, and then I have my gerund noun, which is the direct object, golfing. Sentence number 5. Learning the violin, I'm identifying as being my gerund phrase, which is the subject of my sentence, requires practice. Again, in my square, I'm putting my line a little bit lower. My subject of my sentence is the gerund learning violin with the adjective the. My verb requires, followed by the direct object, practice. Indeed, this will probably take some practice, some getting used to. I think if you're able to identify these sentence parts, that it will be a little bit easier. Couple of more examples. Sentence number 2. A good report requires planning. I'm going to again label report requires planning. My sentence line, report requires direct object planning. A good report requires planning. Sentence 3. Playing the piano. This is my subject. Helping verb, verb has kept what? Direct object, fingers. Playing piano. Playing the piano. That is my gerund phrase. I have a helping verb, has, kept. Yesterday we talked about not separating them, rather keeping them together. Has kept what? Fingers. How, when, or where? Limber. And grandma's fingers. Subject is the gerund, playing, along with the object which makes it the phrase, has kept, fingers, direct object. Number 4. My chore in the morning is making my bed. Subject, chore. This looks like a prepositional phrase. This looks like a helping verb. Or what is this? How do I know what the difference is between the helping verb, or if it's a linking verb, and the object? Is there one there? Well, I would know from my past sentences that is making would be an example of a participle verb. Is making. My chore in the morning is making my bed. So in this particular sentence, I notice that I have a prepositional phrase. If a helping verb along with the participle verb is making what? Bed. My bed. My chore. Now, what about the word morning? Is morning just a word that ends in ing and is not a verb form? I think that would be the case. Just like we would have different kinds of words, some end in ly and some don't. Some are adverbs, some are not. In this particular case, I notice that the word morning is simply the object of the preposition. I'm recognizing this as being a participle verb. I need to be able to recognize this in the sentence as well. Today we're going to continue our review of gerunds by taking a look at the link that is found on Google Classroom. There is a link for an exercise concerning the identification of gerunds. Your goal is to get a minimum SMART score of 80, which would translate into a 100%. If you have any additional questions concerning the use of gerunds in sentences, be sure to let me know or notify me by way of Go Guardian. Thanks, and have a great rest of your day.